Question 3 from Derek Lee's Derek Floyd. Several outlets have reported that Kathleen Kennedy is leaving Lucasfilm this year, 2025. Who do you want to replace her? Who do you think Disney will actually pick to replace her? So let's talk about that. Let me bring this up right now, okay? Because I got a lot of thoughts. I got a lot of feelings on this. As Derek Lee's Derek Floyd just said, and as all these outlets have been covering, Star Wars boss, Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy planning to exit Lucasfilm at the end of 2025. This is from Variety. I'll read a little bit about this, and I'll share my thoughts. Kathleen Kennedy, longtime president of Lucasfilm, is expected to step down at the end of 2025. She intends to retire after her current contract ends, according to a source of knowledge of her plans. A separate source close to Kennedy, however, dismissed the initial report by Puck as pure speculation and said nothing has been decided. Kennedy joined Lucasfilm in 2012 as co-chair alongside Star Wars creator George Lucas. Shortly after Lucas exited his post as Disney acquired the company for $4 billion, Kennedy was elevated to president. She's credited with reviving the property by launching the sequel trilogy beginning in 2015 Star Wars Force Awakens, as well as critically acclaimed 2016 spinoff Rogue One. And Kennedy has also started a future for the franchise and streaming a television series such as The Mandalorian and Andor. However, her future of the company behind Star Wars has been a source of speculation over the years. Force Awakens remains the highest-grossing film in the domestic box office, but the triad of Skywalker-centric blockbusters experienced diminishing returns. Rise of Skywalker capped off the trilogy 2019 with a still impressive $1 billion, albeit half as much as The Force Awakens, earned a few years earlier. That may not have been as a big deal, but it came a year after the financial failure of 2018 solo Star Wars story, which became the first Star Wars movie to ever lose money in its theatrical run. And Lucasfilm Kennedy also oversaw 2023's Indiana Jones Dial Destiny, the fifth and final film in Harrison Ford's led series. The action venture, which relaunched the property after 15 years, was a catastrophic failure. Dial Destiny generated $383 million globally against a $295 million budget, ultimately losing around $140 million for the studio. And Star Wars has struggled to return to the big screen since Rise of Skywalker. That's true. Lucasfilm has announced several Star Wars projects by such filmmakers James Mangold, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, Taika Waititi, Donald Glover, will never come to fruition, along with countless others. Meanwhile, new takes in the space opera series from Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins, Marvel producer Kevin Feige, The Last Jedi director Ryan Johnson, Game of Thrones creator David Benioff Watts were shelved for various reasons and more. And of course, they talked more about the TV shows, about Kim Berg's involvement. So, you know what's so crazy about this? Because I've been talking about Star Wars for a while, for years. For as long as I've been doing content creation. And I've just been a lifelong fan, obviously, ever since seeing the original trilogy when they re-released them in the 90s. So I saw the original trilogy before I eventually saw the prequels, which I know a lot of people in my generation probably saw the prequels first before they even saw the original trilogy. I had the opportunity to see them early. So I've always been a big fan. And Star Wars has had a lot of ups and downs, throughout the years, throughout the decades, obviously. A lot of good, a lot of bad. And the Disney tenure, to say the least, has been extremely frustrating. Not to say that I've disliked everything. Like, I feel like it had a good, thought it had a good foundation with Star Wars The Force Awakens. What came afterwards in terms of the other entries in the Skywalker new sequel trilogy, I was not a fan of. I liked Rogue One. Solo I thought was fine at best. And I think the TV shows, the good ones are few and far between. First two seasons of Mandalorian, pretty entertaining, pretty solid. Andor I think is the best thing. Everything else I think is, honestly, been terrible. And to be fair, I haven't seen all of Skeleton Crew, and a lot of people like Skeleton Crew. I've only seen a couple episodes, and what I've seen, I think it was entertaining, it was solid. But the state of Star Wars has been absolutely wretched, and I think the buck stops with Kathleen Kennedy. I just feel like she has made countless bad decisions for years, and it's made me not even. I think at first I was mad and frustrated. But now I just feel apathetic. That's how I would describe myself. And so with this, when it was announced that, she, which again, they're denying, now they're saying, no, they're not trying, maybe they're saying no comment, like whatever. Even if she is leaving, I felt nothing when this announcement came up. I was like, okay, well, yeah, I figured this would eventually happen. It needs to happen. But I feel like Star Wars is in still such a horrible state, that I just haven't felt invested in it in a while and in a long time, and that's sad as someone who has been a fan for many years, many decades at the 2 decades at this point, over 2 decades. And so I think it's a good thing that she's retiring. I feel like she was the wrong choice in the very beginning. She just, as a producer, I personally, because a lot of people say like, oh, she's a legendary producer because of the films that she's produced. She she worked with geniuses. Okay, she worked with filmmakers that define decades and generations. Okay, that was their ideas, their writers' ideas. Okay, I don't know how much creative involvement she actually had in the direction of those movies, in the stories of those movies, of the characters of those movies. She doesn't strike me as a fan of Star Wars, as someone that is knowledgeable. I mean, I know that she's not a fan. I know that she's not knowledgeable about it, based on comments that she's made over the years, saying that we don't have any. I mean, one of the most infamous interviews she ever gave, was when she said, well, unlike Marvel, we don't have any material to work from. You know, we have to come up with these stories on our own, which is just false. Just a lie. Either just a lie or most likely ignorance. Even though you've had decades and decades of material, the legends, which now they've started cherry picking from and taking from for years now. Just to say something like that, it's like, what do you mean? Like, that was just such a huge red flag. And it was like, have you not seen any of the comics or books or video games, all this material that's been around for decades now? You're saying that none of that matters? I mean, they famously said we're doing away with legends. It's just constantly contradicting yourself. She just felt like such a corporate executive. And like, the only reason why she has been as successful as she has been is because she produced the movies of people that were far more qualified and far more intelligent than her. That's just how I feel personally. And so I just didn't. She was the money person. You know, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, whoever else is like, I want to do this. I need this actor. You know, I need this location. I need this money to be able to do this. She's like, I can do all that. Like, she's on that side. She's the financial person, right? She's not a creative head. She's not someone like James Gunn. She's not even like someone like Kevin Feige, who does both of those things. She was just so unsuited for the position, the job. And so, yes, I'm glad she's gone. I just don't feel anything about it because, and this answers your next question, Derek Floyd. Who do I want to replace her? I want someone unknown. I think it's someone that is not a household name. I think it's going to be a producer or an executive that's been behind, that has a proven track record and has showcased a love for whatever property they have consistently worked on for a lot of years and is knowledgeable about it. But I can't think of a certain name, because who do I think? And this is your next question. Who do I think they'll probably do it? Because the problem is, even if she goes, like, the apparatus that she created is still in place. Like, that writer's room, those other people, her understudy, the understudy to her understudies, they're, as far as I know, still there. Right? Still, you know, chugging along in the direction that she put the company in. That's like, I don't think it should just be Kathleen Kennedy leaving. I think fucking Lucasfilm needs to be fucking gutted. It needs to be gutted like a goddamn fish. Okay? That's what it needs to be. You got to get rid of most, if not all, of those people and really start fresh. Like, creatively, I think. And I'm not saying, like, then get rid of, like, some of these other filmmakers like Tony Gilroy. I'll talk about Tony Gilroy in just a bit. But you just, like, the people that are in charge of it, even those underneath Catholic, they need to go. But the thing that I fear that they're going to go with is Dave Filoni, who I just feel like is the absolute wrong person. I feel like he has a very limited view of what Star Wars is. I mean, he adheres to the tenets of George Lucas to a T. And that has served him well in some places, and I think it's hurt him in other places. Like, he is very much the student of George Lucas. He is very much the son of George Lucas. You know, it's like, I think he's a great idea guy, but I think his view of this universe is limited, and he's not a good director, and he's not, and frankly, not a good writer, at least in terms of live action content. You know, like, just watch Ahsoka just as an example, or his episodes of The Mandalorian, especially that, like, first episode he directed. It's just like, it's just amateurish. It's amateurish. It's mediocre. Like, his characters, they speak the same way that Anakin Skywalker speaks to Padme Amidala. You know, I hate sand. It's rough, coarse, and irritating. It gets everywhere. It's like, it's just this fucking deadpan, no emotion. It's like, what's happening? This is awkwardness. And you see that on display. It's funny enough, not really in his animation, but more so in the live action thing. It's so utterly bizarre. And I just feel like I don't want to fucking deal with the Clone Wars anymore. I don't want to deal with the Skywalkers or all that and or the in-between periods. It's like, fuck, Jesus. Either go so far in the past that the name Skywalker doesn't even exist yet, or go in the future. Or look at any of the books that you have and bounce off that. Bring in some of these other writers that have been writing, honestly, better material than you guys ever have. Especially with your sequel trilogy. Like, bring in a Timothy Zahn. Like, these people you should be looking. Bring in a Drew Caprician, right? Those people you should be looking for. So yeah, I'm glad she's gone, but it's not just her that needs to go. It needs to be many of the people underneath her. Her whole team that she put together. They need to be. I hate anyone to lose their jobs, but in these times, a lot of people losing jobs. But I think they're going to be okay. They're going to find other positions elsewhere, I'm sure, and they made a lot of fucking money. So they need to go. Who I want, I don't think it'll be someone that we are unfamiliar with. But once we hear their credentials, I think we'll be more confident. Be like, all right, that's good. But who they'll probably go, I think it'll like Dave Filoni, which I feel like, this is going to continue on with the same bullshit. So yeah, I'm glad, but I'm still concerned. But mostly apathetic. Just like, okay. Like, I'm excited for Andor season 2. I can't wait because Andor season 1 was good. I'll eventually check out the rest of Skeleton Crew. Maybe leading up to Andor season 2, I'll finally catch up on Skeleton Crew. Because what I've liked has been solid, but yeah, Star Wars needs to do something different. It needs to kick around. Because all people are saying, like, Tony Gilroy should be the Lucasfilm. I'm just like, no. Tony Gilroy is a filmmaker. He is a filmmaker, and he is a writer, director for, like, those are the things that he enjoys. Now, the reason why Andor has been as good as it is, even though it sounds like, wait, how is it possible? Because Tony Gilroy, he's not like a big Star Wars fan. He's like talked about that, but he's a good storyteller. He's a great writer. He's a great director. He knows what he's doing. He's clearly a good showrunner, right? But he surrounds himself. He said as much. I surround myself with people who are knowledgeable about Star Wars. Like, for example, he's talked about this one scene with Stellan Skarsgård's character. He's like, his cover is that he's a collector, of ancient artifacts and stuff, and he sells them. He says, like, what should be in this scene? Like, what artifacts from the history of Star Wars should we put here? And he gets those people in here that explains to him, like, this is what this is, and this is what that is. Oh, that sounds cool. Let's do that. That makes sense. It's like, he's that kind of guy, right? He's the kind of guy, he will defer to someone who's like, I'm not as knowledgeable about this. What should we do? I'm like, that's what you need someone who's humble, too, obviously. And I feel like you should keep someone like Tony Gilroy around as a filmmaker, in Star Wars projects and content. I think you'd be a fucking fool, an idiot to lose him. You want to keep him happy, obviously, because he's delivering something that I think is of high quality. But I don't think he should run this, because I don't think his heart would be in it. And I think he wants to do many things, and I wouldn't want to pigeonhole him as the Star Wars guy, right? And he's not. I don't think he's not an executive. But yeah, to be completely honest, I don't know. A lot of people said Kevin Feige. I don't even know about that. Kevin Feige, he needs to right the ship in Marvel right now. Okay? And I think having him move on to that, it just wouldn't sit well with me at this point. But honestly, I think it's going to be someone that we don't know, and once we learn more about their credentials, they need to do a change. They need to go with someone that has a creative mindset and has a fundamental understanding of Star Wars. Because I just feel like fucking Kathleen Kennedy just never did. Clearly never did. That's obvious. That's on full display. That's not even like my opinion. That's not even like subjective. I think objectively, she just didn't understand Star. She didn't even know about the expanded universe and all this shit. Never cared to ask. But it's a great question. It's a great question. It's a wonderful question. Derek Floyd. And I just don't fucking know. I don't know. But I do know you got to gut that company. Let's see what you guys are saying. Purge them all! This is Trillish. Feige is speaking stuff. Lucasfilm needs to focus on creating new IPs rather than line. That too. I think that's another good point. I think they should start doing new movies just in general. That aren't tied to Star Wars or Indiana Jones or Willow. Do something new. I agree. I think that would be cool. George Lucas, he did that with Willow, and he tried to do that with Strange Magic. Didn't work because it was awful. But that's what they should pursue. That would be interesting to me. I agree. Passion. Need passion. I think they were trying to get J.J. Abrams to do it. Oh, man, I think he would turn it down. J.J. Abrams is in a very weird place now in his career. Or lack thereof. Acting. I don't want them to touch the old Republic, and they come with, will never match any of our matches. Sure. Well, it's been built up for so long. I feel like I would love it. I mean, I don't want the current regime to go in that direction. Well, clearly not, because apparently Kathleen Kennedy doesn't even understand it, and allegedly Dave Filoni doesn't even like that era. So the likelihood of them going in that direction with them still in place is unlikely unless you get rid of them. But I feel like that's where the future of Star Wars could possibly go. One of the branches is that era, the Knights of the Republic, and do the story of Revan and all that shit. And do more content in there. I think that would be fucking, because I just we got to get out of this. We got to get out of the Galactic Empire. We got to get out of the Galactic Civil War and the Clone Wars. I'm like, it's too much. It's like we're in a fucking galactic neighborhood, not a galaxy. Let's see here. So I totally understand your concern. Like, I don't want them to touch it now, clearly, with the apparatus they have in place. Agreed. But if they gut it and they get someone in there that loves it, and you know what would be a great sign? If they get whoever this mysterious person is, he or she or whatever, and they're like, we're going to pursue like KOTOR content, and they bring in Drew Caprician, like literally the guy that made it. I'd be like, it's good. That's good, because they understand. They're getting the guy that fucking was responsible for so much of it. So that's what you do. I would like Rockney S. O'Banny. He made Farscape, and I think he could bring back the sci-fi to Star Wars. If not to lead, then to write a Star Wars project. That'd be kind of cool. At least to write a Star Wars project. That's not a bad choice. That's a fun choice. Collector of Fabulous Wigs. Yeah, he does wigs. Yeah, that's true. Man, what's your mouth? Chris is about to be lit. I got a lot to say. I got to say about them, bro. Kevin Gage has his hands full of Marvel. Yeah, Kevin Feige has his hands full of Marvel. Yes. What about Jon Favreau? He just doesn't strike me as a guy that just wants to solely be an executive. Unless he kind of does like a James Gunn approach, where he also, it's like, I run the company, but I also will occasionally direct the movie. You know? I don't know. Like, of the people there, he's a better filmmaker than Dave Filoni is, and he seems more knowledgeable than Kathleen Kennedy. I think he's a better choice than Dave Filoni. I would still like for them to go with someone just more exciting, someone new, something fresh, because he's still kind of entrenched in that era right now. And so I don't know, but better. It's better. Joe Silver and John Peters. Fuck. That would be, I kind of want, yes, let's just fucking go. I want to see it just crash. You want to see it crash and burn? 100%. 100%. John Peters running a movie studio would be hilarious. George, you couldn't live with your failures. And where did that bring you? Back to me. Where's my goddamn money? Thank you for your service, Kenny. As a parting gift, we would like you to stand here in front of the Ark of the Covenant. Around the room, lock the door. Oh, no. Oh, man. Blue Blood Deep, welcome. Good to see you first time chatting here. Solid point. Star Wars deserves thoughtful stewardship, perhaps a fresh perspective. I think I just want that, And again, I'm not saying I'm not poo-pooing Jon Favreau. It's just, and he's talented. He's done some stuff. I really like some stuff I haven't. But we need something new. We need something people go, oh, right. I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau working together would be what Star Wars needs. Filoni is the idea guy, and Favreau is the skilled director and writer. I don't want Dave. I think Dave Filoni needs less control. I would want one of two things of Dave Filoni. I think Dave Filoni should just go back to animation. Whatever, because I know he has some sort of role, which I think maybe it's a name only. I'm not sure. Clearly he has some sort of direction, but I think he should just go back to animation. Just do animated shows, honestly. Just do that. Strip him of whatever power he has or control he has, or fire him. I'm kind of at that point. It should be one of the two things. And I'll be nice. I'll be nice and say, like, Dave, just want you to make animated shows. Do that. Do more stuff that's on the same level. Something like a Rebels or a Bad Batch or a Clone Wars. That'll be really fun, man. Or get the fuck out of here. It's one of the two things for me. J.J. Abrams traumatized me with laws. He traumatized a lot of people. Star Wars higher time was hot Java. You actually farther away and a longer time ago. I mean, pretty much, yeah. That's what I would want. Dave only wants Star Wars about Ahsoka. I know. He just wants. I don't want to just make everything Ahsoka. Everything is Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka. I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. Grogu will. Oh yeah, Grogu will save or destroy the movieverse. Yeah, we'll see. That's the next film, right? Is that one? Give the job to Robert Eggers and watch him wither away. I don't think he would ever do that. That'd be kind of wild. Because he said that he likes period pieces, though. So I don't think he would want to do a science fiction film. Like, he even said recently is like the idea of filming a phone disgusts him. Or something like that. I feel like, kind of bouncing off of that, I think it would be cool to see Bobby Eggers, good old Bobby, maybe do a more mainstream property and still having a lot of creative freedom to do what he wants. I think he should do a Conan the Barbarian movie. I've said this for fucking years. Ever since The Northman, I'm like, this guy, because he even said the Conan the Barbarian was an inspiration for that film. I would love him to do a $50 million Conan the Barbarian movie. I think that would be so fucking awesome. I would love that so much. I think he would just knock out the goddamn park. It would be so goddamn... Because he would do the dark fantasy thing that I want, which has been on display in so much of his movies. I mean, all of his movies, essentially. Zack Snyder, it's time. Let's just bring him back. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, my God. Everything in slow motion. George R. R. Martin is put in charge of Star Wars. He's never going to finish those fucking books. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. His understudies are going to finish them for him. But if they were to bring in George R. R. Martin and he just, wrote something, sure. Sure, why not? Crom laughs in the face of the Force. Crom. This game movie would be so good. I like the fucking... Oh, the remake is so bad. So wretched. Ugh, terrible. Here's I'd rather shave my beard. Yeah, I know. You could maybe have him do some fantasy stuff for Lucasfilm. Maybe one of their new properties. Something new that they create. Good to hear lots of feet on unnecessary N-bombs. Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah. But, I don't know. I think it's a good thing that she's leaving. She should have never been put in charge of it. She should have honestly been let go a long time ago. But I think there's just a real fear of what's still in place there at the same time. It's like she could leave, but there's so many of the same people that she put together are still working there as far as I know, unless they follow her, which I doubt. So that's just a problem. And who do I want? I think it really does need to be someone that we don't really know about. And as we learn more about them, if they announce someone, it's like, I don't know who this person is. They're not out there in the pop culture zeitgeist. And we look in there. Again, and it ties back to this. If we look at their credentials, and it's like, oh, they have a history of shepherding even something small, and it's like, oh, but it's consistently really good or great or something. It's like, oh, wow, okay, they have credentials. And if they were just to come out and just say, hey, I'm not announcing anything today. I got nothing to announce. I'm going to be reviewing everything that we have in some form of production, everything that's being pitched right now. But the thing is that I want to do is provide this company with a sense of a vision. I want not a sense of vision, a vision. And if he were to say literally the 5 things that I talked about recently, which is the 5 things that a superhero universe, just a cinematic universe needs any medium to be successful. Again, if you were to say these 5 things, a fundamental understanding of the characters in their world. I want the characters in their stories. They must be prioritized over the action themselves. We'll have all the Biff Bam, pew lasers and all that shit, sure. But this is more important. An overall direction, a sense of an end goal where we want our characters and world to be at a certain point. Start with a strong foundation, even though you're, a new foundation, and a new era of Star Wars. I think that's you gotta fucking move away from all this other stuff. And again, he's just a manager, a person, a head of a studio, just has a vision and knows what they're doing. If they were to come out and just say that, I'd be like, this is good. They don't need to announce and Luke Skywalker is coming. I don't give a shit. If they were just to say those things, they were just looking at me like I'm looking at you in the camera and just said those things, I'm like, you know what? That's a good fucking start. And I will give them, I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to see what you got. Because you're saying all the right things. It's the same thing with James Gunn coming out and saying for his Superman movie, I didn't even need to see the trailer. it didn't matter the casting or anything for the movie because based on his description of the movie, his view of what Superman is, and it's the thing that I've loved. I've been like, this makes me so excited for the film, is that in his movie, Superman is a person who believes in kindness in a world that thinks kindness is antiquated. I'm like, he fucking gets it. Okay, it's like, that's all I need to hear. It's like, all right, I'm good. And whatever you got, show me one. And I'll see the movie. But that's what you need. That's what you need. So, hope the best. Hope the best. If they brought in George R. R. Martin, we wouldn't get a Star Wars movie. It's true, but hopefully it'd be really good. Osgood Perkins. So, yeah, speaking of Osgood Perkins, I got to get to my review. We got the weekend job, Chris Grunz. I would fucking love to. I would love to run Star Wars with the weekend. I've talked about this before, what I would do. Like at this point, I mean, God, if I could like reverse time and whatever, I would totally have done the Thrawn trilogy, but it's fucked. It's fucked. We can't do it. Grand Moff Thrawn, they wasted him. It's such a goddamn shame. That makes me mad. However, what I would do two things. One, if I can just get like a fresh, slate, just be like, all right, we're gonna wipe the slate clean. Any of these movies, at this point, I would cancel the Rey movie. I would cancel whatever James Mangold, all these other shit. I'd be like, get rid of this shit. Taika Waititi is like, get out of here. Get out. All of you get out. The things that I would do two things. A movie, a potential film franchise, series of films, and a TV show. In terms of the movie, I would go to KOTOR. It's like, we need a fresh start. We need to let's go take Star Wars. I mean, you can go in the far future if you want, but let's work with some of the material that we've had for so long that's been built up, and there's a lot. We can adapt this now. I would do it where we would do KOTOR. I would tell that story. I would absolutely do the story of Revan, 100%. And the other thing I would do is I would do a TV series called Star Wars, where it would be 10, 12 episodes per season, hour long each, and each episode, or maybe 2 episodes, but let's say each episode, it's an anthology series where we can get whatever filmmaker we can get our hands on, whatever talented writer we can get our hands on, say like, hey, we know you don't want to commit to do a 2.5-hour Star Wars film. Would you be willing to do an hour? 55 minutes. Can you do a 55-minute Star Wars story with your writer and tell a story within the world of Star Wars? What era would you like to explore? What character would you like to have? Like, that's what I would do. Those would be the two fucking things, right? And so you could get a Guillermo del Toro to do a horror Star Wars story. Do that, all right? I would ask, I'd say, Denis Villeneuve. He'd never do it, but I was like, you want to do a Star Wars episode? Do it. Do whatever story you want to do. I would ask that. I would fucking do it. It's like, let's get it. Let's get some premier fucking people in there of some of their writers and their teams. That's what I would do. Be like, whoa. All right. Get Steven Spielberg. Steven, you want to do an episode? Sure. I think that's what I would do. Those are the two first things that I think would be a nice, fresh start. Alfonso Cuarón, 100%. Alfonso Cuarón, hey, you want to do an episode of the Star Wars show? What story do you want to tell? What's your pitch? What's your idea? And then you don't need to have it where it ties into this or ties into, and if it's successful, then maybe you could spin it off. Maybe it's like, wow, people really fucking dug this episode and dug this character. Maybe we could do something more. Maybe we could do a sequel episode. Maybe we can do a series now based on. Maybe we can do a movie. There's that. The potential is there. I would still keep Star Wars Vision. I think the idea of, I don't know why they haven't capitalized in some of the shorts for Star Wars Vision. You go like, oh, you can tell a series with this one short. It's kind of like a pilot, backdoor pilot. Do that. I think that would be so great. That'd be my plan. Yeah, as long as we get 100% Turgle will be featured. Yeah. Turgle will be in there. He's going to show up. Don't you touch Revan. The Arrested Maker story in the video games. I mean, the KOTOR remake, who even knows what's happening with that? Alfonso Cuarón could do a Star Wars movie. Yeah, 100%. Use Dirge as Slicker in the Star Wars. I mean, he'd be a scary thing in Star Wars. Clive Barker, he's not big. Yeah, if Clive want to make a scary Star Wars horror short, I think that would be really cool. And it doesn't even have to be a big name. It'll just be I would say look at Black Mirror. Look at any of these anthology shows. and like, whoa, people tune in for it. You don't feel obligated to have watched like all these other episodes, all these other TV shows, the seasons. This is like each episode's its own contained story, at least initially, right? I think that's a really cool idea. And then you could get potentially like a lot of interesting people that would drum up excitement. Actors, you can get the biggest actors in the world. Like, hey, you don't want to be committed to a Star Wars movie. I get it, because it would take up how many years of your life? How about an hour-long episode? You want to do that? So you can go for all these big people, you know? You can get Timothée Chalamet for an episode in Star Wars, right? You can get Ray Fiennes for like, that's who I would go with. I think that'd be really, really cool, but, you know, I don't know. the powers that are in control right now are not going to do that. Also go the White Lotus route. Yeah, sure. I got to catch up on the White Lotus. But yeah, it's just fucking Christ. Let's just get out of the eras that we've been indulging in for so long. We need to do new things, more new things, please. Telling you it would be a really cool Star Wars story is definitely land outside the box. Yeah, that's fine. It's just like, and even if it's like, okay, it doesn't work. Like, listen, in an anthology show, you're gonna be episodes that you like, you're gonna be episodes you don't. But at least we fucking did something different. At least we're pushing the franchise forward, you know. And that's a risk you're just gonna have to take. And I'd be like, hey, this is fucking Denis Villeneuve's take on Star Wars. I think that would get people excited and I would like have trailers for each episode. I would have it from the mind behind Dune and Dune Part 2, you know, his vision, his world of Star Wars. It'd be like, whoa, right? That'd get people excited. Adventures of Young Playboy Yoda. And I'm not saying like, you know, like we have to never touch on those characters again. I wouldn't want to have them. I mean, if you have a filmmaker that's like, I really want to use this character, I'm like, all right, cool. But I would want fresh new characters people fall in love with, and not just have them be so just kind of cookie cutter and nothing. Like, that was the biggest problem with the new sequel trilogy, is that the lead characters, you know, Rey, Finn, Poe, whoever else, like none of them are on the same level as Luke, Leia, and Han. They're just not. There's not. Like, no one's buying the Finn action figure. Like, you know, like, you gotta make and it goes back to, you have to prioritize the characters over and the stories over the action. My Adventures of Palpatine. I think Chalamet would make a great director. Yeah, he can be a villain, be a hero, he can be a scumbag, he can be an alien, all sorts of things they could do with him. I think it'd be really cool. I don't know, chat. We'll see. We'll find out. You know. In a year from now, again, before there's like any real change, it's gonna be years before we see any real change. It's like, yeah, hearing this is like, okay, it's good, but I don't know. Hey, now in the sequels, they would undercut Finn for jokes. I really hated that, and like, they made him a step into, like, I don't want to get into it, but they made him Rian Johnson made him a step and fetch a character in The Last Jedi. He literally repeated his same arc in that film, and it drove me up a fucking wall. I was like, what is going on here? I really didn't like that. Because I think the idea, this will be the last thing I say, then I got to move on to my review of the monkey. I think the idea of a stormtrooper going AWOL, a traitor, and join the rebellion or whatever, or just going off the grid, is a great fucking idea. Matter of fact, and I don't know if they took inspiration from this, and it's funny enough, it's actually tied to my whole anthology idea. I used to read the Star Wars Tales books, like Tales from Jabba's Palace, Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Tales of the Empire, and Tales of Maz Eisley Cantina. And one of the stories of Tales from Maz Eisley Cantina was the Tale of the Stormtrooper, where you followed this stormtrooper who joined the Imperial Academy, joined the Stormtrooper Corps, and they're initially training to be, it's a really good story, they're initially training to be a AT-AT driver, right? And they're very good at it. However, they discovered that there's like a fundamental flaw of the AT-ATs. And with how like long the legs are, and how if someone has a fucking, you know, giant fucking cable, they're able to trip them up. And he brings this, you know, to the person who's responsible for the AT-AT project, General Veers, who we meet in Empire Strikes Back. he says like, this is an issue. He's like, oh, thanks for letting me know about this. And he fucking shit cans the cadet. He was like, he basically, takes his information, hides it, and then he basically forces this guy to be in like a stormtrooper in the Outer Rim on Tatooine. And he ends up being one of the stormtroopers that initially is chasing after the droids of C-3PO and R2-D2. And he's just and we just see his experiences on Tatooine, how it's just so fucking terrible. And he sees the Imperial fascism for the first time, like really, like how it's like the stormtroopers are just treating the locals like shit, and he's disgusted by it. And he's like, what am I even doing? Like this empire, this thing I aspire to be, even though I did my best or tried my best, I get shit canned. I'm sent to this world, and the empire treats its citizens like garbage. And I'm chasing after these people. I don't even want to chase after them, right? And he ends up defecting after like the Millennium Falcon. He's like, fuck this. He ends up like killing during the skirmish when Han is trying to get the Falcon up in the air. He ends up during the chaos and everything. He ends up shooting his commander, who's like just a fucking goose-stepping Nazi like stormtrooper. And he's like, and he just leaves. And he's just like, I get the hell out of here. And he considers joining the rebellion. It's a really good story. It's like. And learning that, like, one of the main characters is going to be a stormtrooper that goes AWOL. I think, it's going to be great. And it's like, no. But I think that for an episode of a TV show would be great. And I would just call it The Tale of the Stormtrooper. I think that'd be real. Or you come up with like a fancier name, like a one word name. Cadet or something. I think that'd be cool. Or just call it fucking Stormtrooper. I think that would be awesome. There's another one that's really interesting. Another idea I've had, it's actually based on a character in the Thrawn trilogy where it's this TIE pilot that crash landed on Yavin 4 during the battle of the first Death Star, Battle of Yavin, and he was stuck there for 14 years. He couldn't get off the planet, right? Because at that point, because the rebellion was trying to get out of there, he tried to steal their ships, he couldn't, and so he just stayed on the planet during through the rest of the Galactic Civil War and afterwards, just trying to survive. It becomes Castaway. It's TIE fighter pilot Castaway. It's like, that's cool. That's a really good idea for an episode of a TV show, right? Or you can expand that. You can do so much with that idea. So, hey, those were the droids we're looking for. Finn should have been the main character from the trilogy, and that was the biggest mistake of not doing. Yeah, that would have been cool. And our next Stormtrooper and a Rogue Imperial officer. That's right. They were interesting characters. Yeah. I mean, Mandalorian, like even fucking Bill Burr. Bill fucking Burr, Chad, who I love. Like, his character, like in Mandalorian, that was like the best episode that season in Mandalorian where he confronted that guy, and he shot him. That was such a great moment. So many of these ideas. The Burr! Yeah, we need to mainstream the Boston accent in Star Wars. You fought in the Tangent Wars? I did. The Tangent. I was a freaking stormtrooper. They could do that. I think that'd be really cool to bring him back. Yeah, I'm not one of those, like, listen, I'm not saying that we have to forget everything in this era of Disney Star Wars. Like, again, take what works that people like, that you feel it's like, you know what, there's a lot we could do here. Keep it. I'm not one of those guys, like, throw everything out. I mean, maybe the people in the company, you got to get rid of a lot of those people. But, like, even what they've created, it's like, we can still do a lot of fun, interesting things. Or maybe we can redeem some of it. Some which I feel like shouldn't. But, like, for example, I think Bill Burr's character, we can have a lot of fun with him. We can still do more stuff with him. I think that'd be great. May the fucking Force be with you. Oh, that's what he says. I wasn't a freaking stormtrooper. That's right. He was a Imperial sharpshooter. Very, very funny. Very, very funny.